All right, everyone. So next up, we'll explore a very fascinating topic on how to make airports. Airports are more than just transit hubs. They are the gateways to experiences, making their marketing both challenging and rewarding. Well, this session will dive into strategies and innovations that elevate airport brands in today's competitive landscape. Ladies and gentlemen, our speaker is Ms. Shalini Rao, the Chief Marketing Officer at the Bangalore International Airport Limited. She has been instrumental in positioning the Kempegowda International Airport as a world-class brand. Her expertise spans crafting compelling narratives, enhancing customer experiences, and driving brand differentiation in the travel and hospitality sector. Everybody, please put your hands together for Ms. Shalini Rao. Thank you.
Thank you. I was told 10 minutes. I'll try and keep it at 10 because I'm sure all your patience is running at a point where you're waiting for the next thing to come up. For a lot of you, who I hope a lot of you travel in and out of Bangalore airport, and for a lot of you, it's a far road to get to the airport. And the way we think about it is, why would an airport need a brand? And I think I asked myself that question. Let me just switch hands. I asked myself that question 5 years ago when I joined, when I was asked to come for the interview, and I said, what would you need a CMO for an airport? An airport is a monopoly business. It's a regulated business. What do you need marketing for at an airport? I'm going to try and tell you that in 10 minutes and what we've done in the last 5 years. And I think more than anything else, the important one is a lot of this. All of us who work in the worlds we work in, we take for granted. We take it for granted because we work in organizations where all this is done. And I think that's what I found interesting about Bangalore Airport when I came in. We are one of the first private-public partnerships in the country. We're 16 years old this year. And we don't think of ourselves as an airport. And I think that's where the difference starts. And it starts from, why did I put the vision up there? Because that vision is something that we all function to. We actually all work towards the vision, and we're constantly looking at what do we need to do to make that vision come alive. I'm not going to read it. I'm sure by now everybody's seen it. So what did we do 5 years ago? I'll tell you a small story. I've spent 30 plus years of my career in the corporate world, almost 20 as a CMO now. Marketing's in my blood. I love it, and I completely refuse to do anything beyond being a CMO. Asked many times, and I said absolutely not. And if somebody had to give me something and say, have fun in your career and do everything that a marketer could want to do without worrying about a lot of stuff that all of you spoke about. I've worried about month-end revenue. I have worried about performance marketing. I have worried about trial. I've worried about repeat purchase through a lot of my career. But you know what? I don't need to worry about that now. And that's why we had a lot of fun. This is what drives us as an organization. And the reason I put it up there is we don't talk about it very often, but I was just trying to give you a bit of an insight. A lot of people before me spoke about insight as to what we think about when we do everything that we do from a marketing perspective. The reason you see so many names up there for passengers, for stakeholders, for the country, is because we operate at that level. We're a public infrastructure. We have a sense of responsibility that we have for everybody out there. And so we sat down and defined about 6 years ago, what do we want to mean to each of the stakeholders that we work with? And everything that we do as a brand and a marketer, as an airport, actually talks to one of this. And this became our framework. And because this became our framework, we went one step further. Now you can't have a marketer for 20 odd years not think about some of these things. So we went back, we spoke to people. I think everybody's spoken about storytelling, insights. I think we used all of that. And read it at peace. If anybody's really interested, I can send it to you later. But there's just one line to remember, the one I've highlighted below, which is the fact that we decided we are magicians. We are magicians to create the experiences that we want everybody to go through when they look at an airport. And so, which means I want to change your perception that an airport is not just a transit point. It is a place where I want you to very actively come. We have the concept of dwell time in an airport. Every 15% increase in dwell time results in an X% increase in revenue. That's the link, and that's where at the end of the day one contributes to that revenue. But our focus was this, and this is if all of you know your archetypes, so we decided we were a magician archetype, and we went from there. Now, why did I share all this with you? Because this is what drives us. This is what drives us in terms of how we look at what we put out there. But having said that, we also decided to take it one step further, give ourselves a manifesto, give ourselves a tagline. Again, I'm not an advertised brand. I really don't need to. But this is an internal guiding principle and calling light that we have for ourselves in terms of the fact that everything that we do has to give you an experience like never before. Believe me, I've been trolled by a few people saying a negative experience is also an experience like never before. But we keep that in mind anyway. Okay, what drives us? Three big things. One, because we're a public infrastructure. We are a private-public partnership. We do, in our own way, represent the country. So therefore, brand reputation sits right on top of everything that we do. We have a line that we don't just say internally, but we mean it, which is reputation over revenue, no matter what. And that's where somebody like me gets to play that role. The second one is, all of you have probably lived through COVID. The amount of information that there is out there, the amount of misinformation that's out there, right from which quarantine, no quarantine, even today, what is the requirement, how do you get stuck, what's happening when there's fog. In a public infrastructure, there's need for information. Information is one of the biggest things we trade and put out there. And lastly, I do want you to have a good time when you're at the airport. And everything, how many of you have been through T2? It's just my favorite question to ask. Okay, almost everybody has. The reason that terminal is built and designed the way it is because airports are stressful experiences. You're usually running, you're worried you're missing something. And so therefore that water, that green, that entire atmosphere calms you down and puts you in the mood for some shopping. Okay, 4 things that we look at very categorically, and I'm very quickly going to give you just one example of each. Information, awareness. Sometimes there's new stuff going on, there's advisories, Aero Show coming up in February, you'll see us active on that. Education, Digiyatra for example, when it came in, there was a lot of education that's required. And finally, the engagement part and where I have fun with you. Don't worry about reading why I have newspaper stuff there. But sharing information, I think it blew my mind many years ago that people are so interested in how many flights take off, how many land, how many idlis do we sell, what happens. It's ridiculous, but it's true. The amount of curiosity that there is, whether it's av geeks or otherwise, who really want to know what goes on. And I guess today with the aviation sector growing the way it is in the country, there's even more curiosity in terms of our growth. I'm just going to show you a film. This is last year, just to quickly show you how we share stuff. You don't need to see the whole thing, it's on YouTube if you do. But just to tell you that I could have sent that out as a simple note. I could have just put a post up. But we try and keep it engaging. In that video, I also talk about how many idlis and dosas we've actually sold. People find it interesting, people engage, and that's how we've grown our followers as well. This is an interesting one, which is where I think as marketeers, when we're working in industries that are probably non-specific, very different from where we are, that those principles still hold. Now, this is an actual addressing a problem that we had. We had the CISF, who does your security checks, come and tell us that there's a lot of queuing that's going on, and people are not. There's a lot of restricted items that people are carrying in their luggage. Can you find an interesting way to let them know what not to carry? Now, you've all seen those boards. Nobody reads the boards. When you have the declaration check, when you do your web check-in, how many of you actually read, do you have this in your luggage or do you not? And if you do have one of those in your handbags, you hold up the queue. You hold up the queue, you cause a lot of issues. There's a lot of delays, people start getting irritated. We use the power of collaboration here a little bit and said, how do we do it in an interesting fashion? So we spoke to Shraddha, other than all the other, let's say, methods of communication we did, and I'm going to let you.
I missed my flight. Come back, pick me up. I'll tell you, you come. Security check took forever. I was in the worst queue. Worst queue.
Why? Someone was wearing the same clothes as you.
No, my cabin bag was flagged.
Okay, that's a 5-minute delay.
Behind 6 other bags.
Ooh, tell me the flash bag.
This first guy had a nail cutter.
When will people understand? Prevention is better than manicure.
Not funny. Then this lady had a bottle of honey in her bag.
Sweet. So then did she drink all of it? Bottoms up?
A bottle.
Arey, my mama drank an entire bottle of ghee at the airport because they wouldn't allow it. We didn't know he was a human Mysore Pak.
Huh?
Mysore Pak, mama.
Then a jar of chili powder wasted some time.
Yeah, because the masala on the onboard masala chai is never enough.
And how many times they'll tell you, keep your chargers and power banks outside your bag, but there will still be somebody who doesn't do it.
Yeah, because buri nazar is a thing, yeah, evil eye. Anyways, what did they find in your bag? Umbrella?
No.
Hair straightener?
A lighter.
Huh? Lighter?
So just, I think we can use all our skills to put some of these messages across in a way that people actually find interesting. And we did see the results on ground. So sometimes we look at the obvious metrics, but the metrics are also what the problems are asking you to solve for, and insights in a manner of speaking. Are we echoing? No. Not going to, I'll quickly run through this one, but just a similar way of putting education out by talking about DigiYatra, telling people what to do. When COVID happened, we did the contactless boarding, which you won't believe it, for a brand like us, it was a big one. We got some 7 million views on YouTube because nobody knew how to use contactless boarding at that point in time. So these are just interesting things that we do, let's say, par for course in all other businesses, but pretty much we use as well here. I'm not going to, I'm just going to jump. The last one is the one that I think we're the proudest of, UGC completely. It's amazing the bank of photographs I have today, because we started 2 properties, which is BLR Lens, as we call it, and also Guess the Airline. People just send us the most incredible photographs. I mean, you will be amazed how many photographs people click and send us. It's a great bank for us to have. When we're running short of social media posts, we want to even encourage more. We've had airlines join us and collaborate. So just, I could go on and you all will throw me off, because I think we've done some really interesting things. National Geographic to do superstructures. We've just created an anthem for ourselves with Ricky. So I think if you're a marketer in your mind and you've decided that this is going to be a brand, irrespective of whether it's a monopoly or a regulated business, you can genuinely have a lot of fun. And I think it shows in the partners that want to work with us, the kind of people that want to collaborate, the fact that Gurmeet asked me to come and talk to you. I think it's all a sign of that. So, yep, that's it. Thank you.